Annie with Celltown Realty. It is the third Thursday of the month, so we're interviewing somebody related to home buying, selling, and occupying. In this case, it's this guy, Colin Armstrong, who owns Armstrong Desert Landscaping, and we are in landscape mode. I don't know if this is going to work, so sorry if you have to turn your phone or something, but we're going to go for it. And this month we are doing something different. We are dressing up, and we've got champagne, and we're here together, and it's going to be like, I think we're fun or different or something.
It's going to be the future of your show.
I think it might be the future of the show. So I would love feedback if you guys are into this format.
If you want to be here drinking champagne, wearing a tracksuit, petition to be on the show.
Exactly. And we can make it to like whatever your liking is, but we're going to open some champagne and just have some fun. So if you guys have questions about fun landscaping stuff, this is your hour. So, Colin.
Yeah.
Tell us about yourself.
Okay. Wow. Where are we gonna start? There we go. Let's start there. That's a good start. Landscaping or just life?
Let's go with life. Like, where are you from? Like, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah,
what
good question. What am I doing with my life other than working? From Vermont.
Oh.
Yeah, I grew up in like the middle of the woods. The closest town was like 300 people. Cheers. So super rural, basically farms and cows and shit.
Vermont, that tracks.
And just grew up like snowboarding. My cousin was way into rock climbing. He moved to Salt Lake City like 30 years ago. We all went on a family reunion at Jackson Hole, and like he was showing us rock climbing, and basically my brother, my sister, and me all just fell right in line as soon as we graduated high school. We all just exited, you know, sleepy little Vermont, and we all moved out to Utah.
Wow.
And got stuck here.
Yeah. And
been here ever since, like 20 years.
That's amazing. I think it's like the super classic story that like in college somebody came snowboarding out here and they moved, but to have like a whole family move.
Oh, the whole family. Epic. Yeah, we just like left everything behind.
Wow.
And yeah, that was my life. I mean, worked at Snowbird for years, snowboarded every day, and then rock climbing obviously was the other sport for me.
And I think that's how we know each other ultimately. Like Colin and I have mutual climbing friends, and then
Maybe Justin? Is it Justin Wood?
Yeah, I think it's through Jay.
I hope Justin sees
or
this.
Chad.
Justin and Chad, two of my favorite people.
Yeah.
I was gonna even talk about Chad today as far as like influences.
Oh, that's cool. Oh yeah, that's perfect.
Oh yeah. Big influence, Chad. You're a big influence for me.
Aww.
And I think I've already told him that, but I'm gonna tell him even more.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, he's an influence for all of us, I think. Like,
if you don't know Chad, we're talking about the furniture joint.
Yeah.
Look him up.
Maybe I should just interview him.
You should definitely do Chad. Are you kidding me? Chad's gonna be way better than me at this.
No.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He is a pretty sociable person, but you're sociable too. I don't think he has a tracksuit though.
He doesn't have a tracksuit. I once got him basically a tracksuit. And I don't think he's ever worn it.
He could pull one off though.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll talk about Chad later. Chad's awesome, and I think we should interview him. It'd be a great one for people that want custom furniture.
It's not like real estate necessarily,
you have a house,
but
you have to fill it with furniture.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
You do the outside, he does the inside.
And
bada bing, bada boom.
If you were lucky enough to get Chad to build you some furniture,
or rich enough.
Yeah, or rich enough, you'd be a very lucky person.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in Utah, you're rock climbing, you're skiing, you're working at Snowbird forever.
Yeah.
How did you get into landscaping? Because I think actually the other way we know each other is through email, through Brian.
Oh yeah.
Because he was like your kind of start, right?
Yep. He was kind of my start. It was, it was really funny. It was actually, we bought our house, and when you buy a house, you just start working on your house.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't have the money to afford to pay contractors. And so for about a year or two, we were just like wanting to make our house cool.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've always been like a creative person, but never really had a lot of like construction. Yeah. Never had a lot of like construction background. I didn't grow up doing construction or landscaping. Didn't have anybody teaching me any of that stuff, except for kind of Chad.
Yeah.
But I think just owning my own house,
Yeah.
like forced me to learn how to build stuff, how to fix stuff, how to make stuff, and then also just having kind of like a creative vision of like, this is not just utility. Like I want my house to look amazing,
Yeah.
and so you go down the rabbit hole. You start watching YouTube.
I was just gonna say you spend 8 hours on YouTube
Still
to figure
do.
out how to do an outlet or whatever.
Still on YouTube every day.
Yeah.
Like I tell a client, yeah, I can do that totally, and then it's right onto YouTube and learning how to do that.
YouTube University.
Yeah. So, owning a house, we completely ripped up our yard, and I started having like visions. And I live in Rose Park, so we have like a really big yard, and it was like I had grand plans. Like I'm gonna do a pool,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this, that, and the other thing. Anybody who knows me knows that like I dug a giant hole in our backyard
Oh my god.
to build a pool.
Yeah.
Like it was like Encino Man.
I was just
style.
gonna say Encino Man.
I literally went out there and like
Prom king.
dug a giant hole, and it stayed a dirt hole for about 4 years.
Oh my god.
Because I was like, oh, actually pools are really hard and complicated and expensive.
Yeah.
So we did all the other landscaping around it, and then, but again, still not a landscaper. I was just working for some audiovisual company.
Okay.
I think through them though, I started to gain a little bit more confidence of like, actually, it's not as hard as you think it is to do stuff, to build things.
Figure things out.
Yeah, and like I think we were working in like a lot of high-end homes up in Park City, a lot of new construction, and I just started seeing like the guts of a house. You know, the framing all the way to like the finish.
So you're doing like speaker systems and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
running wire.
Like they're movie theaters.
Yeah, exactly. So nothing to do with what I'm doing currently,
Sure.
but starting to like get a sense of how houses are put together.
Yeah.
Starting to feel more comfortable about and interacting with all the other trades,
Right.
electricians and plumbers and framers and whatever. And through that process, and then also, you know, being around guys like Chad in his shop a lot, just starting to familiarize myself with tools, owning my home, trying to make our house good. Probably in about a year or two, it was like I went from feeling like I had no clue how to do anything
Yeah.
to, God, everything's not actually that hard. I mean, it is actually really fucking hard, but you can get in, you can start making mistakes at least.
Yeah.
And then the windstorm of 2020 happened.
Yeah.
And I had just built our fence, and it was like probably like the first fence I ever built in my life.
Yeah.
And it was like it stayed up though,
Oh, nice.
and so many other fences went down.
Seriously, yeah.
And all my friends, a number of my friends who own homes, like their fences blew over, and they like my fence because I just finished it. And they're like, "Damn, like, do you think you'd want to like maybe build my fence?" And it was right at this time where I knew I was like done working for this other company. I wanted to be working for myself. And I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. And I was like, I should just give it a shot.
Yeah.
And I just jumped in. Like, you know, got a truck, got a trailer, started buying some tools. And for about a year or two, pretty much was just building fences.
Wow. Okay.
And I hate building fences now.
Yeah, it's hard work.
But from there, it was just like the progression of building fences. And then, B-mail. He got me in on all of his jobs, and his jobs were way more high-end.
Yeah.
He's doing a lot of steel work, a lot of welding.
Yeah, so
Full systems.
Brian Mail is another landscaper in town who has done some work for me, and it's just like a mutual friend, another climber guy. Like our climbing community runs super deep, and there's people like in all trades in the climbing community, and everybody calls him B-Mail. So anyway, that's the backstory on that.
I'm gonna top you
Ah,
off.
thank you.
So yeah, that was the start.
Great.
And I think it's, I wanted to use it as like I've been wanting to do like a YouTube or something
Oh yeah.
where
This would be a YouTube.
I want to do a YouTube where just trying to teach people how to do, I mean, everything,
Yeah.
like all over the map, construction, landscaping, welding,
Yeah.
whatever.
That's fun.
And, but just run it in a more like fun. I was actually thinking about doing it in tracksuits, like rolling out and trying. I've actually filmed a couple
Yeah.
things. We haven't made an episode yet, but I'm in a tracksuit,
Yeah.
welding up like I want to do like a big vertical garden.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, you can do all this cool stuff. And I didn't know what I was doing. And here's the thing. You don't have to know what you're doing. You just need to like take a shot.
Well, I love that story because I try to like express that to clients. So like when we're under contract on a house, we're in due diligence, we're doing inspections, and something like a GFI pops up. So anywhere that's within 5 feet of water, you have to have a GFI outlet, and it prevents basically you from getting electrocuted if, you know, water splashes on it or whatever. And because I've owned homes for 10 years now, I know the power of YouTube. And like, I didn't know anything when I bought my house, but I would like go on YouTube, and it turns out that replacing something like a GFI is actually really easy. It's like super easy.
Right.
But people get really nervous, you know, like, oh, there's no GFIs. And I'm like, first of all, I'm gonna try to get the seller to do it for you, get you money for that. But dude, I promise if you've got any sense of like bootstrapping it, you can totally figure out how to do so many things. And so many clients do that. You know, they move into the house, they don't know anything. And before I know it, they're building a deck out back. They're building a pergola. They're doing like little electrical work. And so you're like the extreme example of that, where you learned a little bit of stuff and then now it's like a full-blown business for you. And you're busy, right?
Yeah, very busy.
Yeah. And they're doing beautiful things. Like when we do this edit, you should send me pictures of your stuff, and we can like maybe here or here like incorporate some pictures, because they do really
go check out Spring Bar Tents showroom, their outdoor backyard showroom.
Oh, cool.
That was probably like, in my opinion, that's my favorite project.
Oh, wow.
Because it was started out as literally as a parking lot. It was asphalt surrounded by like storage containers. And Pace is a friend of mine.
Another climber,
super cool guy,
business owner.
He actually was like a big part of helping me level up, because he knew that I didn't like totally have all the experience, but he gave me the chance.
Yeah.
And
that's so cool.
you know, you have to have a couple people along your path that give you the chance.
Yeah.
And you gotta put 110% into those chances and don't fuck it up too bad. Dude. Or fuck it up and then make sure you go fix it like on the weekends, like whatever it takes to get it done.
I mean, those first years of real estate, you're like, how would you like to buy the most expensive thing you've ever bought in your life? And trust me, who's been doing it for 6 months. Please, I promise I'll do good. So I fully get that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's probably, you seem like it seems relatable. I would imagine that in the real estate world, it's like clients are kind of driving themselves more or less, right? Like, do you feel like you have to sell a house much, or is it more like people are?
No, but you're advising. You're providing information and advising. So like my classic thing, now you're interviewing me, but the classic thing I would say is, so I was a mountain guide for 10 years. I think most of the people watching this probably know that. And like about 6 months into real estate, I had this realization that like what I actually do is somebody comes to me, they say they want to do something big. I explain the process along the way. I help keep nerves calm. If there's bad weather, we get out of there. And at the end of the day, if everything goes well, we like summit the mountain, we buy a house. Oh my God, it's the same job I've always had.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it is like how you provide the information, how you give advice, how you keep nerves calm, and how you recognize when the weather is bad.
Yeah.
And so that all takes a tremendous amount of just experience at the end of the day. So in those early years, you're leaning on, for me, it was leaning on mentors. So my broker and agents in my office that have been doing it for 1,000 years, anything that came up, I was going to them and asking a question so that I could like use their information and knowledge for moving forward. So yeah. Oh, we're here during magic hour.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, this is amazing.
I've got a disco.
Well, I think it's cool because what you just said totally resonates with our experience. And so when me and my wife bought our house, we were looking at houses, and my friend Patrick Munger had just become an agent. Okay. And so he was like, we were his first client ever. Yeah. And he was stellar. Like he was super with us. Like he went above and beyond. But what I wanted was this total gut job house up in like 15th and 15th area. Yeah. It was like the cheapest house in the neighborhood. Yeah. Had like knob and tube electric. It was just like wood panel, funky walls. Like everything was like a tight little compartmentalized small room. Yeah. Like no open concept in this house. Like it hadn't been touched in however many years. Yeah. Probably hadn't had like a renovation since like the 80s or before. Yeah. And I was just like starry-eyed, like, what could this place be?
Yeah.
It could be amazing.
It's like, it's gonna be a money pit.
Yeah, even though we have no money, like, and so for the same price, there was this house in Rose Park that's like this mid-century modern, like, it was move-in ready, it was cool, it was awesome, but it was the most expensive house in Rose Park versus the cheapest house in 15th and 15th, and I was like, you don't buy the most expensive house in the neighborhood. That's dumb.
Yeah.
And I was pushing hard
for
the big reno house, and Anna, my wife, and Patrick kind of was like trying to talk sense into me, but he was being really good about like, yeah, dude, I see all the potential. That's really cool. But eventually, the two of them got me thinking more clearly.
Yeah.
And we went with the house in Rose Park, and we got it, and it was like, the house is awesome. We love it. Yeah. And the fact that we didn't have to immediately move into what would turn into a construction site, I think is pretty much a big reason why we're even still married, because it would have been a nightmare. And we didn't, I didn't have my business back then. Like, there was no money. Yeah. Like, it would have just been totally screwed right from the get-go.
Well, and your house has probably doubled or tripled in price at this point.
Lucky the COVID surge. Yeah. Yeah, which, I mean, I don't think you can bank on there being some crazy real estate jump like that. But sure, it worked out great. Yeah. It worked out great for us.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about your business in particular. Like, what specifically do you do? What don't you do? What's your favorite thing to do? What do you specialize in?
Okay. Yeah.
In case somebody's thinking about getting their place landscaped.
Sure. I mean, I feel like my problem is I try to do everything except concrete. Okay. Which we just, either sub that out. Yeah. So every year I try to add on a few new elements of like what we do. Yeah. So, started out as fences, and then it turned into planting and, trying to like do more finished design, steel work. We do welding. We do, like, I've done steel planter boxes, steel retaining walls. Yeah. Obviously the steel edging that everybody sees that lines their pathways and patios.
Yeah, they're like this super modern, generally, I mean, you probably do other stuff too, but like when you see those yards that have like the cool cactus garden and like the metal edge with like the chat and like all of that, like that's the kind of stuff that they do. It's super cool and great for your property value for sure.
So every year it was evolving. Pretty much started, I was always subbing out irrigation work, and then it became very unreliable, the person that I was subbing. And I just kind of realized that what I always hate is relying on other people. Yeah. And so me being who I am, I'm not like a patient person. Like, I want things done efficiently, fast. And
turns out your clients want that too.
Yeah, and really, really well done. Like I'm ADD about like, this chat is not perfectly level. Like, guys, rake it smoother. Yeah. Like, come on. Do you not see like the gradations in the chat? And I realize that a lot of people probably don't see the like detail that I see. Yeah. And I'm almost like neurotic about it. And I think that makes it really hard for me to like sub workout. Yeah. Because I just want stuff to be done. So then I'm like, all right, I better learn this because I don't want to have to rely on another company. And everybody just charges so much goddamn money that like I can't work everyone's budget into client's budget. Right. That's always the hamstring, is the client's budget. Yeah. I mean, even working with like really high-end, very wealthy clients, everyone has a budget. They're always like, hey, this is like too expensive or whatever, or we need to rework this. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. And I get it, like as a homeowner, like I don't want it. It's not like an open checkbook. The continuation, the summarization of what we do is pretty much specializing in hardscaping. Okay. And I like doing all the planting and the softscaping too.
Why don't you explain what hardscaping is?
Yeah. So, because I think for me, and this is the answer to the other question, which is what are my favorite thing? My favorite thing is to be in a machine. Oh. I love being in an excavator.
I can see that.
Yeah. I just bought an excavator. It's my first excavator.
Nice.
And
Is it like this guy?
Yeah, it's that guy.
Okay.
With the big claw.
I was like, I know you guys use these guys.
Oh, those are skid steers. No, skid steers are moving material. Excavators are for
And then
like
there's these guys.
shaping.
These are fun too.
What is that thing?
That's the one that has a little basket on it.
That's Jordan.
So you
That's Steph Curry.
No, it's a cherry picker.
Oh, a cherry picker.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever used one of those.
Yeah, maybe that's not
Different industry,
That's not
maybe.
a tree guy thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah, hardscaping. It's basically all the stuff that you don't want to do
Okay.
and probably aren't really equipped to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like as a homeowner, and this is like what I would recommend to a homeowner is like hardscaping is where we come in with like our skid steers, dump trailers, excavators. We're basically gonna clear out the old yard, take out all the grass, whatever, reshape the land, and then put in your edging, put in whatever we're gonna do for contours to make like the big shapes, bring in like the many thousands of pounds of gravel, get that stuff all ready, and then that's hardscaping.
Okay.
And what I would call like softscaping is doing the planting.
Okay.
You know, like all like the pretty stuff at the end.
Okay.
I would say like the bulk of work, probably like 80% of a budget goes into hardscaping.
That tracks.
And by the time it's done, it still doesn't look great
Right.
because you're like, there's no plants.
Right.
It just looks like, but a lot of stuff has been done.
Yeah.
You know, irrigation has been put in.
Okay.
A lot of dirt has been moved in, moved out.
Right.
A lot of gravel has been moved in, moved out.
Yeah.
You know, all the steel work, all the stone work, all the excavation, all that stuff falls under like hardscaping.
Yeah.
We're shaping it, we're getting it ready, and then like at the last minute, you come in and you put the plants in,
Right.
and in a couple days, all of a sudden the place pops.
Amazing.
And that's kind of how it goes.
That totally makes sense to me. I'm dealing with a huge landscaping situation right now, which by the way we can talk about after this. But
Cool.
I need a bid. I've already got anyway. But yeah, like when I have landscaped my own yards, it's like okay, I would like for all of this dirt to be lower than the concrete level.
Yeah.
But like I can't do that on my
Right.
own. Like I can't move all of that earth or whatever. And I think that landscaping is like such a sleeper business because. And I say this from deep experience with clients. Like clients are always like, "Oh yeah, we can totally do this yard," and I'm always like, "Yeah, like I'm sorry, but you can't."
No, they can. Let them give it a shot.
They
Because then that keeps me in business.
totally. And
Like anybody who's gone out and tried to do it.
100%. Like people don't realize how difficult it is, like manual labor style. Also, how expensive it is just to DIY your own thing.
Yeah.
Like I have the tiniest yard at this house, and I've spent $2,000 out there on mulch and like garden beds, and you know I did it myself, and it's not amazing. It's fine.
I think it looks amazing.
Thank you.
I don't know what you're talking about. I
Well,
want to live
I called
here.
you, but you were like in France or something, so I was like, fine, I'll do it myself.
Yeah, I was.
I was like, I have a tiny job.
I'm a fancy boy in France.
But yeah, people don't realize how hard and expensive it is to do it yourself, and then they don't realize how expensive it is to have somebody else do it too. Like you gotta save up for that stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's really difficult work. So I think people a lot of times will like kind of poo-poo the yard situation and think about the insides of the house, and you're like, ooh, the outside costs just as much as the inside if you want it to look just as nice as the inside.
Yeah, I wish it cost just as much. 'Cause
Well,
then
not
I'd
as
probably
much,
be a little
but-
more well off.
Yeah.
I think it's funny because it is like one of the most overlooked things.
Yes.
Like when a homeowner, an electrician, a plumber, a carpenter, whatever, the guy doing your stonework, your mason, the guy remodeling your bathroom, your kitchen, those are all like expected stuff. You're like, oh yeah, this, redoing our kitchen is going to cost whatever, 50, 60 grand or something.
Yeah.
In like a tiny little room, it's going to cost 50, 60 grand. But then they want to spend like 10 grand on the landscaping.
Totally.
I'm like, okay, first of all,
Yeah.
you know what a plumber's tools are? I have like $500,000 worth of machines and equipment. Do you know what a plumber has?
Yeah.
Some wrenches and like a work truck. It's just like, it's baffling to me that for whatever reason, landscaping is always like, well, we got no money to spend on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's fair. I mean, I get it, but it's a very physically demanding job. Like, it is a backbreaker.
I tore a knee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's miserable work for the most part.
Yeah.
And if you buy hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment, it does make it better.
Yeah.
But it's still like it's my company, and I have guys, and every day I'm still shoveling or pickaxing or cleaning out a trench line or something. Like, it doesn't stop.
Right.
So I don't know. It is really funny. Like, people think like, they're like, oh, I got like $5,000. I'm like, oh, you want to redo your entire lawn? Like, you want everything gone, new irrigation plants and stuff? That's like telling your kitchen remodeler you got like $5,000. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, I think people don't adequately understand. And the other problem, I'll speak from the real estate standpoint, which kind of sucks for both of us and everybody. But like, so if you buy a house that has one bathroom in it in Salt Lake City, and you put in a new bathroom for $25,000, you will literally get that same amount of money back when you sell the house. Like, it is dollar for dollar. But the sucky part is, because people don't understand how expensive landscaping is, it's not usually dollar for dollar. Like, if you spend $100,000, and I just showed a house the other day that was like this. It was like a pretty modest, normal split level house up in like Bountiful. The clients who were with me will be watching this, and that's fine. But the backyard was epic. They had like this deck, and then grass, and then like a 5-foot tall retaining wall of rock that went down to this like patio, and then more retaining wall of rock. Like, so it was this tiered rock thing with like a fire pit patio, like, and then grass that kind of like swiveled down next to it. And I was like, you guys do not understand that this house is priced the same as other split level houses with the same square footage, but it has a $150,000 yard. Like,
so you're saying it doesn't ever get calculated in?
It does get calculated sort of mentally.
It's not part of like the actual like calculations.
In higher end homes, it does, because people that are buying $1 million plus homes, they understand the cost and expense of those yards, but unfortunately, it will contribute to how fast something sells, but it's not a dollar per dollar thing, because people don't understand.
Right? Isn't a fence calculated in?
Well, but that's the other thing, is the appraisers don't calculate in the yard. They do not count the yard. So again, you could have a $150,000 yard, the appraiser doesn't care about it.
That needs to change.
I know.
Who do we need to lobby?
I know. It's
I've got
like a travesty.
I could put like a couple $100 towards the lobby.
Yeah.
Where's that going to go?
God.
Maybe 1,000. Maybe 1,000.
But it will sell a house faster. So I just had the end of last year a listing on the west side. It was a tiny little shotgun house, like 120 years old. But she was a landscape designer, and she made the backyard sick. She did it all herself, and that house got multiple offers and sold like in this market. So it will help itself faster. But unfortunately, it's not a dollar for dollar, because people don't understand the labor and the expense that goes into it. And so that's like, I'm like, I want to like shout from the rooftops, like, dude, a house with an expensive yard, so worthwhile. Well,
so kind of circling back, I would say, because I don't know, something about this year in particular, I feel like we've been hitting a lot of people who want the work to be done. I mean, I think we're just having like a little economic scary time or something, and I get it, and everybody has the right to be scared and think about their own finances however they want to. So we're trying to like kind of build things in a way to a client where it's like, hey, if you're motivated, if you want to try to cut some money off of this bid, this project, here's a great way to do it. We come in with the heavy equipment and do the crap that you don't want to do, or that you probably like won't be able to do. The machine work. Yeah, you can go and rent a dump trailer if you have a truck. Or you can borrow your friend's truck or whatever. You can go rent a dump trailer, and you can go rent a mini skid steer. You can do it. And I think it's fun. Like, honestly, if you think machines are fun and that's your jam, do it, because it is fun.
Sure.
And I'm sure you'll be able to save some money, and it probably won't go like totally perfect, but whatever. Burn a weekend or two, and I'm sure you could tear out your grass and you could haul it to the dump. And I can tell you the dump prices.
Yeah.
It's not crazy. So yeah, if you have a pickup and you can go rent all that stuff, you can do it. You can rent a mini skid steer for $300 a day. You can rent a dump trailer for $100 a day. You can take the stuff to the dump, spend a couple $100 there.
Yeah.
If that's your jam, you can do it. But what I am trying to encourage people that are like, we want our work to be done, but we don't quite have the budget. Let us come in and do the hardscaping.
Yeah.
Let us come in and get the area cleared, prepped, get your irrigation systems in, get your whatever, your steel work, your stone work, whatever that done. Bring in your gravel, get it all nice and leveled out and compacted. And then do the plants.
Yeah.
Because the plants, that's the easiest part for a homeowner, and it's fun.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah,
Other than excavator, planting plants is my favorite time of the month, and I don't get to do it very often because of how much time is eaten up with actually just prepping the land.
Yeah.
But planting plants is great. Everybody loves doing it. It's therapeutic. So if we can get like your house 100% prepped, and then we can even go buy the plants, pick them all up, deliver them, and you guys can do the planting. You'll save a bunch of money on
get better deal on on plants and stuff. Yeah, so that's beneficial.
So we can get you like a discount on plants, and then you do the planting. So you're gonna save some money there, and you get to like lay out, or or you could even go off of a design, or I can give you recommendations of like, in my experience, this is how I think they look good. But you don't have to pay me and my crew the time to dig all the holes and plant all that stuff. That's like a nice little activity to do on the weekends.
Yeah.
It's not like it's going to be some huge saving on the overall thing, but it does save like some thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Like we just had a client that did it, and they rallied like their little nephews and cousins, and everybody came over and they made like a weekend of it, and their place looks amazing.
Yeah.
They knocked out like thousands of dollars. They probably saved like maybe $4,000 or $5,000 on like planting.
I love that. Yeah. So if you don't have like the top end budget, you're not in a $5 million house in Park City, whatever. Like that sounds like a great way to kind of like make it look nice, save a little bit of money, employ a local business owner.
And if you're also just wanting to connect with your yard,
right?
You know, because I think a lot of people want to do some of the work.
Totally.
You know, not everybody.
Yeah.
But a lot of people.
I think Mike plans it.
A lot of people, especially like our age or younger, they want to do some work. Yeah. And so for them, it probably feels a little like, oh, why am I paying a contractor to do this? Like I can probably do this. So it's like you can, but make it easy on yourself and have us come in and do the stuff that you really don't want to do. Yeah. The heavy machine stuff, and then you get to do like the fun finishing work.
Totally. Yeah, that tracks. Okay, to close this out, let's see, do you have a funny story or like a kind of life advice, or what would you like to share to kind of close it out? We didn't really plan this, so I'm putting him on the spot.
Funny story. Life advice. I mean, what's your like? What do you got? Give me a warm up.
So I interviewed Jimmy Keepley. Do you know Jimmy? He's a window washer. You should know Jimmy. You like Jimmy. Anyway, he's a window washer, a friend of mine, planning community, family man, awesome dude. And he had some funny story. I'd have to review the tapes, but basically he was like with his crew in an elevator, and they were making like some sort of like inappropriate jokes or something about someone was there, and they didn't realize there was somebody else in the in the elevator, and it was like this embarrassing scene. There was another guy that I interviewed who was like, I think it was another landscaper or someone who was like in someone's backyard, and somebody was like showering, and they like saw him in the thing, or I don't know, just whatever you want to share, just to kind of like wrap it up.
Oh, now I wish I could. I'm like blanking.
I'm putting you on the spot. Yeah,
funny scenarios. I'll pick the other. I'll pick life advice.
Okay.
Because I feel like
Yeah, as a business owner,
it's
family
kind of
man.
the same message I was saying
Yeah.
earlier for anybody who is feeling like I didn't grow up doing any kind of construction. My dad wasn't out there teaching me how to use a saw and a
Yeah.
hammer and all that kind of crap.
Yeah.
So I rolled through life for the most part thinking that like, oh, this stuff's very complicated. It's really hard, and leave that to the pros and just pay for it.
Yeah.
And when you have money, sure, like whatever, you got other stuff to do, pay for it. But the reality is it's actually really fun and rewarding to learn and then build something. And even if you fuck it up, it's pretty awesome to go through the whole experience. And then it opens up a whole bunch of doors for you where you just realize that you can kind of do anything. And once you start realizing that, like, once you have like that empowering feeling of, I can do anything. Like, if I really want to do it, I can do anything.
Yeah.
And that's like my message for anybody who's like feeling on the fence, or you just bought a house and it feels overwhelming. Go buy a drill set and like a saw, talk to some friends, watch some YouTube videos, and give it a shot.
Yeah.
Because I bet you're gonna probably fuck it up a little bit, but that's okay. And then it's gonna be really cool when you build the thing and you make the awesome little slat wall or whatever project you've got going on in your house, and you're gonna get to look at it every day and say, I made that. I didn't just pay some person to come in and do it.
I love that. No, I think that's incredible advice. And I think it extends with you into owning your own business too. Like, I have such a thing for the entrepreneurial spirit, like anybody, because it takes guts to move forward and go, hey, you know what? I learned how to build a fence. It stayed up in a windstorm. Like now I'm just, and it doesn't have to be all at once. You're like, I'm just starting with fences, and then I'm adding this other thing, and then I'm adding this other thing.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you have this like full-blown landscaping company that is like super successful and creates truly, like, we'll put pictures on here, like truly beautiful spaces, and it's badass. So
yeah, thank you.
very much.
Cheers to that. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, I'm glad you came. So look up Armstrong Desert Landscaping for your landscaping needs, and they can come in and do the dirty work, and you can finish it off, or they can do the whole thing for you. And you can follow them on Instagram. I'll put their tags and stuff in here. And yeah. Okay. Thanks you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.